to One-on-One with Posh. Today we have Dave Rusan. He makes guitars, but not only any guitars, okay? I know y'all heard about a little movie called Purple Rain. He designed Prince's guitar for Purple Rain, and I am so excited to be here. Like, I'm low-key, I'm freaking out a little bit because I got a thing for guitars, and it comes from my dad, so I want to say, hey, Dad, I know you see me with all these guitars. He's probably going crazy right now in heaven. So thank you, Dad, for putting guitars in my spirit and my heart because I love them.
That's nice.
And I'm excited to be here and talk to you about what what inspired you to say, you know what, this is the design. This is what I'm going to do for that specific show for Prince.
Well, nice to meet you, and I'm glad you stopped by.
I'm happy to have stopped by. I'm happy to see you. I know we've been trying to get together for a while, I'm so happy just to be able to stand here with you in front of all these amazing guitars.
Well, thank you. I've been working hard.
So, what was your inspiration? That's why I like to start. Like, what was your inspiration for just building guitars anyway? Not just the cloud, because that's what it's called, right? The cloud.
Yeah.
Not just the cloud. All your guitars, like your specialty.
Well, when I was 14, I loved the Beatles and I wanted to play guitar like everybody else did.
Okay.
Except for me, the guitar was more than just an instrument. I got one and I looked at it and I thought, boy, what a pretty thing this is. How does it work? I started looking inside, taking the panels off. How do the electronics work? What's going on in here? And to me, it was like a sports car. Where you don't just drive it, you want to get under the hood. You want to see how it works.
Oh, yeah.
And then I started doing things, trying to make it play better. Oh. And then when I got good at it, since I lived in St. Cloud, none of my friends knew where to go to have stuff done. They started to come to me.
So when people needed their guitars fixed, they would come to you because you had a niche for it.
Yeah, okay. And I kept getting better because I loved it, which I still do. I never get sick of it. And then I moved to Minneapolis, and I played in bands. But then I also worked in a music store and did repair. I set up the repair department in the store, and there's a picture of it right there. And and so they needed a repair guy because one of the owners tried to fix a guitar of somebody that was very famous, and he did it so bad. It was a guy named Robin Trower, who at the time was a big concert artist playing huge shows, and he got so mad due to the poor repair that he ran out in a huff, and it was an ugly thing. So when I came in, I actually knew what I was doing, so they had me set up the shop. And so I worked on stuff, and Prince would come in. He would come in with Andre Simone. He came in later with his first manager. And we heard he was good. We never saw him play anywhere. Yeah, because, he was underage. The only bands I saw were in nightclubs.
Right.
So he wouldn't be old enough. And one day he came in, he strapped on a guitar, and then he came up to a keyboard and he played a line with the keyboard, and he tapped on a melody on the guitar at the same time. He played two different instruments at once. Oh, and I remember thinking, this guy this is pretty special.
Yeah.
And so then I went to London for a bit, and Prince by the time I came back, he had 3 albums out, Dirty Mind, I think that was number 3. And one day he came in, right after I got back, and he told the store owner, I'm going to make a movie. And he said, I need a guitar that's going to be in the movie. And so the store owner came down, I was working away, doing repairs, and he said, you're going to make a movie, you're going to make a guitar for a movie. And I remember thinking, really? Because I'd never made one at that point yet, I'd only fixed them.
Right.
Which is quite different, fixing a home is different than building a house,
Right.
But I remember thinking, I could say no, but I'm going to say yes. You got to when opportunities come, you got to grab them and you got to give it a shot. You know, I remember thinking they can't kill me if I blow it. So I did, and I applied myself. I remember I made a plan. You know, I wanted to give it some order. You know, well, how do I? What kind of steps do I do? You know,
because I keep looking at that one right there, and I'm like, so that's the base for it. Like you had to carve that out and make it like that.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and the technicals and the inside, I'm just imagining it in my head, like, golly.
Well, the most labor-intensive part is all the carving, all the stuff that.
Yeah.
I do that with little chisels. You see this guitar here, this Telecaster?
Yeah.
That is a very simple guitar. It's really basically just a board cut out, a flat board. I could probably make 20 of those by the time
That's what I was
carve
gonna say.
those.
Like, how many can you make in, like, let's say a day? If you had to rush and make some guitars in a day, how many do you think you can make?
It takes about a month to make one.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, it won't take a day, of course. Nothing takes a day.
No.
But
In a day, I could do something to it, but I sure.
right.
And I give it everything. This is my baby. I'm my pride and joy. I give them all my best attention.
And it would never be a rush.
Oh,
Never
no.
a rush.
No.
I don't know. In my head, I was just thinking like how that is. You just having like a lot of them, and then being able to. I don't know nothing about making good songs. This is just what.
Well, if it was a factory, you could do that.
Right. But it's
just me.
A factory.
The boards are glued together. The shape is cut out, and then using power and hand tools, I do these bevels, and then I have little tiny chisels that I do this little scroll with.
This is neat.
Yeah, it's they're a lot of work. It's satisfying, you know. It's not always fun because they're hard to do.
Right.
And but I'm glad to do it. So I did the one for Prince, and he liked it and used it in the movie, obviously.
Look, y'all just heard history. Okay?
But then what happened is, since the movie was such a big success, more than they really suspected, because it was. It was a movie that had wonderful concert scenes, but it wasn't a big budget movie,
Right.
It wasn't like Elvis would make the big movies after he was already a real big star. And Prince, in fact, no studio wanted to do the movie. They thought he wasn't big enough of a star yet to support a successful movie.
Right.
And but he did. And so then
he did that.
Yeah, they called and said, we want 2 more for the tour, because now they were going to make money off the tour because the movie did so well. So then I made 2 more, and so anyway, that was kind of the.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So he would break these guitars?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Well,
how did you feel? Like, not like that, but I want to know, like, how did you feel the first time you saw him break this guitar?
Did you ever have anybody step on your cat or something, maybe?
Exactly. I thought you were like, what?
Well, part of it was not so much that he was trying to break him, but at the end of the show, he would always throw it to his assistant. They call it a guitar tech. That's a guy that takes care of the guitars on tour.
Okay.
And but it wasn't always caught.
See?
The number 2, the one that's in the Hard Rock Cafe, not only was it fixed, it had to get a whole new neck. He destroyed the neck so bad, they had to have major new parts on it.
I can imagine.
In fact, the one that's at the Hard Rock Hall of Fame, you can't even play it. It went for $600,000, even though you can't play it. But
what? $600,000.
Yeah,
I'm in the wrong business. I got to learn how to carve some.
No, what you got to do, you got to be Prince and put your hands on it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I could be Posh and put my hands on guitar and sell it for us.
Yeah, we'll get a commission. Anyway, so
well, look, we got So we got a little time, but we're going to go on a break right now.
Oh, okay.
Y'all know how we do. We'll be back with 101 with Posh.
Now shut up and eat.
Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready?
Welcome back to 101 with Posh, where we're talking to Dave Rusan, and we're talking about his guitars, okay? So I know, how many guitars did you make? I know one of them is in the Hard Rock Cafe. I know you said that. But how many did you make, and where are they right now, like today?
Well, the first one, Prince donated it to the Smithsonian Museum. And it feels pretty good to have something that I made at the Smithsonian.
Okay. Congratulations. That's good.
Yeah, and people are often confused though, because when they started out, when I made them, they were all white like this, but then they all got repainted many times.
Right.
And the one there is yellow now. It had been peach. I think it had been blue. It had been different things. It's got several layers of paint underneath. And then the second one, the first one for the touring, is the one that sold for $600,000 a couple years ago in an auction, and that is at the Hard Rock.
At the Hard Rock Cafe.
No, excuse me, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I finally got them a couple months ago to put my name on it.
And that's the one that doesn't play.
Yeah, the neck is broken. I mean, it looks terrible, you know. For some, and I talked to the guy. At least he claims to be the guy that actually bought it. I can't tell you his name, but he lives in, I think, in London, and I think I believed him, you know. And,
Right.
And so it's on loan to them, 3-year loans, and he's going to do it another. I may be going there this summer to. They may do a celebration in conjunction with the Purple Rain. So that's number 2. Number 3 was just sold by Julian's Auctions for $910,000.
Wait. $910.
You know, people ask me all the time, but congratulations, Dave, and I think, well, that's nice, but
no, we gotta go back, because
$910,000, not 900.
$910,000
yeah, is that out of your budget?
out of my budget. Yeah, you know what? One day it's not gonna be out of my budget, but today it's out of my budget.
You can always,
I had to go back, like you said.
You can put it on your credit card.
Yeah, swipe it. Let me get that guitar. Thank you. That's amazing, though. Wait a minute.
Oh, it's crazy, and people they congratulate me, which is nice. But you know, I look back and I think, well, I made $8 an hour making it. I mean, I'm not bitter. I mean, I'm happy, but it just feels so odd to have made something that's worth that much. You know?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
You know?
Listen, that's still amazing to have made something. Even you love to do that. So for it to be worth that much, I bet you it's a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you about the fourth one that almost nobody knows about. After I got done with those, Warner Brothers, who the label he was on at the time.
Okay.
They called up and said, we want you to make one, not for Prince, but to give away in a contest in England. It was some kind of a record store contest. And about 3 years ago, the guy wrote me an email that won it. And he sent me pictures and all that. And he still has it.
Mm.
And so there was another one.
He won it.
Yeah, in the contest, and he kept it ever since, you know. So, I'll tell you, I got good memories. And one thing I'd have to say, what I think Prince's biggest accomplishment in a way was, I mean, the music, but something that a lot of people don't think about is how he changed Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Before Minneapolis was, he had the Replacements and some bands like that, and there was a little bit of a scene, but most bands, if they had any kind of ambition, they said, well, we're going to go to LA, This was not where you went. You could play in clubs, but you're not going to make the big time here.
Right.
There was no big time producer, no big time manager that could do that for you. There was nothing to support it. And all of a sudden, he turned all around, and people came to Minneapolis instead of leaving it to make it. Mm-hmm. Jesse Johnson came down from Iowa. People come from all over.
Yeah.
It was like a different place. Every day was exciting. Entertainment Tonight came to film me making guitars.
Yeah.
I met people. I remember once a woman from Paris came down and she said, I'm so excited. I think I just saw the dumpster that they threw the girl in Purple Rain. And she wanted to meet me, So it was a whole different town. And one guy did that. It wasn't like the Beatles where you got four. One guy changed the whole culture of the town.
And when I think about the Minnesota sound, I automatically think about Prince. Like, people always talk about the sound. When I think of Minnesota, I think of Prince all the time. It's been like that for my whole life, because my dad was a big Prince fan, so that's how I was introduced to Minnesota growing up. Now, that's where Prince from, And now I'm older and I'm in the music scene and I'm listening to all these artists and everybody, and I'm like, dang, Prince sound could really be a help to them if they really focus and research what he did and how he did it, and the music that he was listening to, the guitars that he was playing. Prince definitely did his big one. For me.
Yeah. He made a new sound, and he made it out of, nobody starts from scratch. He listened to James Brown, he listened to Little Richard, he listened to Jimi Hendrix. But what he did is he took all that and made something new that was identifiable as Prince. He didn't just become clones of those people. He took like ingredients and made a new dish out of them. It was. And the reason he could do that is he was so smart, he was so hardworking, and he was so talented. I know the guy that would take care of his guitars, he would lay several guitars out in the early evening in the studio. And he'd come back the next morning and Prince would have recorded all the parts to like 3 or 4 songs. They were all done. And he played all the parts and did everything.
He was a genius.
He was the one guy that had no missing parts. You think of anybody else. Michael Jackson, he didn't write any tunes. Paul McCartney can't dance, I don't think. Prince did all the stuff. He could play all the instruments. Yeah, he could write. He could produce. He could kind of manage himself, create his own image, look good in clothes that other people wouldn't,
True enough.
He had the whole thing. There's people that like him just for how he looked in his story, and then there's people that are musicians, they just like him for the music. You could like him for all different reasons.
Yeah.
True.
All right, well, we'll be back with more One-on-One with Posh.
Rasta Tea's Hot and Barbecue Sauce. Like us on Facebook. Want to try the best hot sauce you haven't had yet? Go to rastateas.com now.
Programming is sponsored by Rasta Tea's Hot and Barbecue Sauces, created by Pee Wee Dread, supporting 1 million meal march in the community. You can find us at rastateas.com and High Floor Restaurant in Uptown Minneapolis. You can also find us on the Boom Boom Room TV.
Welcome back to One on One with Posh. And look, I don't got no. No, I ain't gonna do that. We back with Dave Rusan. And listen, he got so much that he has been doing. He got this long list of clients, and I just want to read some of these people, or tell me about some of these people that you work with, because the list is long.
Yeah, well, I guess it's kind of a tribute to being in the right place at the right time more than once.
Right.
And I lived in London for about a year.
Okay.
I got a job at a store where all the rock stars came to. And I can't say that I met them all, but I met some, but I did work for all these bands. And and then in town here I did work for some of the bands that were part of that late 70s punk scene, the Replacements and such. So I was around for that. When I was in that store in London, we had tremendous variety, and that was a time in London when some of the bands from the 70s and 80s, earlier the 60s, were still going, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and such, but then there was a bunch of new bands out, and like Dire Straits, I worked on the bass player's instrument. I worked on the stuff for Def Leppard right at their peak, early peak. And, and some of them I met, some of them I got to know a bit to see what they were like, and sometimes...
I think that was going to be my next question, like, have you actually met all of these people?
No, I'd say about half.
Okay. So you do your thing, make them a real good guitar, and be like, tell them I said,
Yeah, some of the real big ones, they wouldn't bring their own stuff, and they'd have the guitar tech would bring them in. I didn't meet anybody in the Stones or the Who. I met Brian Setzer, I see him all the time, or Randy Rhoads, Greg Lake from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Larry Graham, the great bass player, he's come here to my shop many times. Lawrence Juber, who used to be with Paul McCartney, I met him. And I met Louis Johnson, who was with the Brothers Johnson, and was on all the Michael Jackson stuff and all that, he was here. So I met him, got to know him a bit. So, I met quite a few of them. But, it was a fun time. I've been very lucky.
This is a nice list.
Yeah, I've been lucky in the right time. You got to have some luck. You have to be able to deliver when your luck comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
But you also have to have some luck too, which I've had,
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for giving us the time to interview with you and get to know you and behind the scenes of all this amazing work.
Oh, thank you.
Because I got some favorites in here right now. Really. I don't know how to play the guitar, but I pretend like I do in my math.
Come back with your checkbook.
I don't know, because your guitars cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, I don't get paid enough.
We'll do installments.
Okay, bet.
Okay.
So what do you have? What's new?
Well, I'm just working hard, I get a lot of orders, and I'm just trying to keep working and catch up on it all. Okay. And, get nice publicity like with you guys coming,
Okay, do you have any...
Excuse me, I was just going to say, I met a lot of interesting people doing this from all over the world,
Yeah.
It isn't just the guitars, it's people from all over that come and stop by when the celebration at Paisley Park, they stop by. I got some coming, this couple of weeks.
I went there one time, and it was beautiful in there. I loved Paisley Park. I want to go back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they'd like to have you as long as you buy the ticket.
Of course they would. And I do. Well, I did that one time. That one time at Paisley Park. But do you have any special people you want to just shout out and say hey, or thank you to, or whatever?
Well, I just without saying a specific name, I'd like to thank all my customers and the people that have made it possible for me to do this. You know, I guess that's pretty much it. Without
Okay.
saying that, yeah.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for welcoming us into this beautiful space. And I hope to see more of your work even now.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll
even if
keep
somebody
at it.
say, I got a Dave Rusan guitar, be like, that's my boy.
I'll keep at it.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's our time on One-on-One with Posh.
Everybody whip with their phones.
And when you're done, I'll take a picture with your
Please.
people staring at me with cameras. And I was just
It can
terrible.
be a little bit intimidating.
But, you know, I've done quite a few, and you get better at it, you know.
This is how
Scan the walls.